Alrighty folks, want to welcome you back to another video from Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. Want to start out with, make sure everybody heads on over, hit subscribe, hit the bell. Check out all the other videos I got also. There's a lot of videos. For this one, I wanted to get back into the security side of the user slash admin slash domain slash a lot of things that go on. The last video I brought up some factors on making sure you're up to date. Updates are very critical and important. Now, brought up patching and updates. Patching is applying fixes to the current software you have. Updates are usually completely different versions, going from Windows 8, Windows 10, even within Windows, there are different version levels. 21H1 to 22H2. That's a different version level. It has different features, has different things involved. Those I consider updates. You're updating the whole entire software, not putting in a specific patch to a security thing. Patching is more considered for Office. You're patching Outlook, you're patching Word, you're patching Apache, you're patching Google browsers, you're attaching Firefox, you're fixing security vulnerabilities, you're doing a lot of other things. So there's a difference again between your software and your OS. How you did them, how you get them. A lot of times you have to go to the manufacturer site, or you can go to the help within the program, search to see if there's another version, if there's patches, any of those type of things you want to download. That all came up on the last video. With that, I mentioned when you get into big businesses and what software's on computers, you want to remove any software that is not being used. As an admin, and you get into some of the bigger businesses and the structures and the domains and all of those type of things, you can actually say you cannot run this software. You can actually get into approval lists that you can state you can't browse the internet. You can't bring up any browser. You can actually block all internet traffic to any IP address. You can block that port completely. You can block quite a few different ports that people cannot even get internet access. This might be handy at home if you have children. There's a lot of software out there now that limits, like on a children's account, you can have 2 hours of internet. Once that 2 hours per day is over, it locks them out. They cannot get on the internet to browse anything. They can't do anything. But you can still do Windows updates. You can still do other things. This is the administrator side. And I know I've done quite a few videos on this, but this is really one of the factors that I want to press out, because that gives you control of your environment. Gives you control of this, your computer. Doesn't give you, well, it kind of gives you control of the network also, but you can vary that. If you wanted to, you can really control your network completely if you want to. If you have firewalls and you have all those type of physical firewall, you can lock down certain things in that physical firewall also. Now with the new smart firewalls and all of these type of things, that deeper advanced packet searching and other features in there, you can really lock some of this stuff down. And it can all be done through a single device, through the whole household. And that is administrative control. That is not user control. The user is here. I've done some videos on the user that I'm sure are somewhat offensive to some people. If you haven't seen them, go on over. But I want to tell you again, these might be a little offensive to some people. Some people might get hurt, might get upset, because they are some tough subjects. Because where the cause of a lot of these issues are pointed out. And some people don't like that. So just to beware, head on over, watch those. But that is the user side. As the administrator, you can do a lot of things. You can lock out a lot of things. You can actually be the administrator and have a user account. And that's best practice, because that stops you from making a mistake a lot of times, causing you a lot of issues that then you have to go clean up later by having those two separate accounts. Not to mention, if you're prone to do something, if you're prone to click on something, because again, that's not really the user's fault, because a lot of sites have trained you to do this. And people that design bad software know it. They know if they can get you into an environment that is socially approved for you to click, you're going to click. And they know it. They social engineer everything that way. Having the administrative power to say, hey, I don't allow this, might save you a headache. As simple as, hey, do you want to download this? And it pops up with a warning box blocking auto pop-ups from websites can save you a hassle. It can be a hassle as an administrator. Because if you go to download an updated piece of software or anything, it doesn't pop up. It doesn't download it. But as a user, that might save you a headache, because if it pops up and you, oh yeah, and then you, oh, what did I do? And as soon as you hit that, it might not actually be downloading. It might send some other package. It could do anything. It could be that download is just a dirty download full of who knows what, all kinds of stuff. So this is one of those subjects, again, where I wanted to just go through it again, because it's an important subject to understand that having that administrative account and having your user local account is critical. Because it might not only be for you, it might be for your wife, it might be for your kids, it might be for other things. For your kids, your wife, even you, have an administrative account set up and say, don't show any X-rated or R-rated junk. Block it. Because it is kind of getting bad. It's getting worse and worse and worse. We talked about social media. Talked about TikTok. Why I don't like it, because it's just people shaking the butt. Get on Facebook lately. I'm a social media creator. And it's someone shaking their butt or in a swimsuit. That's not media creation to me. But this is what has been deemed socially acceptable. Mention this on my other video. If you guys don't like this type of stuff, start blocking these people. Start reporting this stuff. And try to get it to go away. I mean, to me, I got kind of offended by that, because here I'm spending hours and hours and hours doing videos and education and have 30 years of working with tech, posting a video that people really don't care about, I know, because nobody's watching it. But then you got someone on there shaking their butt with thousands of views. And it took them how long to do that? How much experience did they have on that? So I have a video that I had, kind of a warning on some of that type of stuff that will be out before this one. That, just wanted to sum up. that there's a difference again between the user account and the administrative account, because now, as an administrative account, I could say, I don't want to see this. So I don't really have to worry about what that website's doing anymore, what they're showing. I don't need to see anything R-rated, NC-13, anything X-rated, or anything above that. Just block it, because that's not what I'm going on there to look for. Get rid of it. Business users, same thing. Get rid of it. Because I mentioned on that video, I went on there to look for a business to get an update on what that business is doing, and that's all I saw come up around it. I'm like, why am I looking for business and business content seeing this? So this is where, as an admin, you can get in there and say, okay, you know what? No more of this. And this was kind of the important part, the difference between the user and the admin. Because now, as an admin, if you log in, you could see that garbage or smut or whatever when you log in and see the browser page or whatever, because it's not blocked to the admin. It's blocked to the user. So this is really the variable there. Let's say you have a gambling problem. You don't want it to show gambling sites. There's social software out there that will block. Maybe you don't want to see news. You're tired of seeing, all this news and fake news and everything else that comes up. Block the news. But you can still see everything else. So this is the power of the administrator, where it could kind of come in and be helpful for you as the user side of it. Could make life a lot easier. So wanted to do a little short video on this so that you're aware of the difference between the user and the admin. I'm sure I've covered a lot of this in the other videos, but because I brought up this very fact in the last video, I wanted to go back through it, because I don't think I really touched on the actual blocking or stopping of certain things that happen. Yes, you can go in and depending on how structured you want to be with your network, I've talked about as an administrator how you allow computers to get onto your network. You can use, DHCP. Any computer that logs into your network can get an IP, go out onto the internet traffic, do whatever you want. You can subnet it, VLAN it. You can do a lot of different stuff to separate the security of it. You can lock it down by MAC addresses. So even if I connect to your network or plug directly into your network, if my MAC address is not in that router, it ignores you. It blocks all your traffic. This is an admin feature. This is security features. So this is where that rabbit hole, again, is at. Because depending on what you're looking at trying to do and how you're trying to secure and how it falls into your quiz again, is all because of the admin user roles. And again, there's different versions of admin roles. When you get into domain, even in home use, if you're using professional, there's a way to get into the settings where you can actually set up more than user or admin. There's lots of different things. Power users, guest users, a lot of things. I mentioned in the other video, I actually have 2 computers set up as guest users where they can't change anything. They can't even log out. You have to hit Control-Alt-Delete to get to the screen to shut down or log out. Because that's the guest. They're on there doing their little thing and then they're done. Depending on what kind of permissions and what kind of things that you do, and watch your videos, a lot of people say they haven't used a guest account in 20 years, 30 years. depending on what very specific purpose you need, what rights, backup, there's a lot of different roles in there that you might want to allow. Maybe you're not going to have a standard user account as your user account because you need to be a backup person also. You need to have those rights to do backups. And that varies due to what software I believe you have, depending on what rights you need. Most of the time, I think a standard user can perform a backup and do all of those type of things. You can copy data. You can do all of those things. So you're going to have to do your homework if you're going to dig into that and bring out some of those other rights other than user and admin. Those privileged accounts. There's a lot of privileged accounts that are in there other than user and admin. And I don't like using those very specific words, but I need to do it every once in a while so everybody's aware of what these actually officially are. Understanding that and knowing it, caring about it are three different factors. You knowing about it, okay, yeah. Caring about it, you might not care about it at all. You might continue using your admin account, doing whatever you want, and not even care that I'm telling you best practice is to use a user account. But when something happens, and you spend 5, 6, 7, 10 hours remedying it, odds are next time you do it, you'll be using an admin account and a user account. And if it happens to you 2 or 3 times in a row because you haven't changed that procedure, odds are you probably will, because you'll get tired of dealing with it. And you'll start researching these videos to figure out, why does this keep happening? So this is really one of those factors I wanted to bring up, because knowing this can actually solve you some issues. Can actually make things a little easier. Maybe you don't have just a standard user account and a standard admin account. You have a different privileged account. Also, you might have 3 accounts, 4 accounts in that system. You might actually use guest account. You might use a standard account. You might use an admin account. You might actually, odds are, you will be using more than 1 or 2 accounts. You might actually have an account for you, your children, your spouse, your admin account, maybe even a guest account. Now, they might not be different privileged accounts. You might actually have a standard account just as a guest. That admin account can actually access all shared data in user accounts. So if a guest uses your computer, downloads something and deletes something, maybe the password got changed, that admin account can actually access that user account, change the password, delete all the downloaded files, delete anything that is in there. Any of those temporary accounts, any of that type of browser history, you can delete all of that. So there's another variable here between the admin account and a user account. So I will wrap this one up. I know I've gone on long enough, but these are some of those factors for small businesses and large kind of businesses, because standard account, admin account is not much different between a domain account and a standalone account. These are basically the same things. They have the same kind of rights and privileges, except for domain accounts have policies that are controlled by the domain server. But you don't have to have that set up either. But best practice is when you do that, you have your domain controller put out the policies, so every computer that attaches to that computer or that domain can have a policy set to it. Now, I said can have a policy set to it. Doesn't mean they have to have the same policy set to it. This is where domain controllers are different than standalone. Because accounting can have a completely different policy and procedure implemented to that computer than the GM or research and development or shipping and receiving. They can have 4 different policies set up that allow them to do separate different things. Where instead of configuring it on each system, the server itself hands that out. That is the administrative control. So I wanted to sum that up, put that out there, because that is the basic differences between when you get into domain and you get into standalone. Now, you could do domain at home. You can set up things like that, especially with VM and other stuff like that. Watch the VM videos. So I think I'll wrap this one up because I'm sure that part just probably got a lot of people going, whoa, what? Rewatch it, understand it, do your homework. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe.